It is, as Clay said, just a sincere honor. We have been involved with the Sonoma County Vintners really since the inception of my family's winery, and have participated in previous years. To get to be one of the co-chairs is a true honor for me. A little backstory on how I got to be one of the co-chairs. Clay and Jake, I don't know if you know this about these guys. They're both pretty good golfers, and they always invite me along, and they remind me every time I come along, they bring me along to make them feel better about their game. So when I got a call a few months ago by both of them asking if I would join them as one of the co-chairs of the Sonoma County Wine Auction, at first I was super excited, and then I just kind of wondered if they were asking me just to join just to make their wines look a little bit better. All joking aside, we're going to have a lot of fun together as the co-chairs, raising a lot of money and continuing to do great work in Sonoma County. Unlike Clay and Jake, my family would be relatively new to Sonoma County. We moved here about 30 years ago into first the Alexander Valley, growing Cabernet Sauvignon up in the mountains over the town of Cloverdale. And then about 20 years ago, we got into the wine side of the business when my parents started Arista, which is focused in the Russian River Valley, making Pinot Noir and Chardonnay. So it's a treat to be with both of you guys, and I look forward to hearing what Jake has to say.
Well, thank you guys. Super appreciative. There is no one that I would rather do this with than you, Clay and Mark. I'm going to go off our script a little bit here for a few minutes, and I apologize, Mark and Clay, for not letting you guys know that. But I was thinking about it, and the normal introductions, what I really thought is that everybody out there watching right now would benefit if they had a little bit more insight into who Mark and Clay really actually were. The first thing that I think the two of these guys have in common, besides being buddies of mine, is they are the two hairiest men that I have ever met in my life. Now, if you look at Clay, even when he's laughing right now, it's pretty obvious he has a rug on his face. And if you look at COVID and where we've been, wearing a mask is not hard for him. He's been wearing a mask for the last few years of his life anyway. The difference between Clay and Mark, however, Mark is a clean-shaven man. But if Mark were buck naked on a bearskin rug, you would only see his wrists and his ankles. Mark has the hairiest back that I have ever seen. If Mark ever goes bald, he will be able to comb his back hair up over his neck, over his head, and it'll touch his eyebrows, and nothing will ever happen with that. I honestly have to say that I don't know how either of you convinced your wives to marry you, given that situation, especially Mark. It may have been pity in your situation. I got to say, Jen is a good woman, and
Play that card well.
Yeah, Clay, I mean, a young South African, beautiful woman. I don't get it. But I was also thinking about the guests out there watching, and some of you are visual, and I really thought that a good way of showing everyone, who Mark and Clay would be in terms of their bottle. If Clay were his bottle of wine, this is what his capsule would look like. He would have a big beard on it, and equally so, if you were to look at Mark, the back label, this is about how illustrious Mark's back is in general. The second thing I wanted to share a little bit about Mark and Clay, just in terms of, there's a few things that are just not true, and they're commonly known, thought to be true facts about these two guys. Number one with Clay is his prowess on the gridiron at the University of Oregon. I did some research about this, and it's just not true. Clay actually drove the little cart and helped get the guys off the field when they got injured. And he only got that job because he grew up driving a tractor in his dad's vineyard, and they kind of felt sorry for him. But he did get a University of Oregon jersey for it, which is hung on his wall. Equally not true, Mark, I got to say this very clearly. You are not Dan Costa. I hope that comes right off. You are not Dan Costa. Was that backwards? Yeah. Mark has been trying forever, and the reality is Dan Costa, Russian River Pinot Noir, he's the king. You are not. If we drew a little picture here, here's Dan. Dan's at the top of the mountain. Here's Mark. Mark, you're always below, and that's your little back hair coming out the sides as you're trying to be.
Wow, yeah,
Dan Costa.
Good.
Yeah.
This is incredible.
Yeah, I actually had one more too I was going to throw in there real quick. and it's something else. It's a fun fact that I thought would be important. Clay loves the artist Jewel. If you all know Jewel, Who Will Save Your Soul? Clay loves Jewel. The problem is that Clay does not love that song of Jewel. Clay loves Jewel's yodeling. If I can make my technology work here, I even had a
Jewel,
little.
if you're listening, please come to Sonoma County. We got you.
That's right. I can't make my soundbite that I had all ready to go work now with Jewel yodeling, so I'm going to skip that one. But equal to Clay's appreciation of yodeling is Mark's appreciation of leather. Mark has leather shoes, leather bags, leather briefcases, leather wallets, leather gloves, leather jackets, leather boots. And one of the things that I can tell you all that concerns me a lot in life is that I go over to my buddy's houses a lot. And you go over to Clay's house, you knock on the door, nobody's there, not quite sure what's going on, let yourself in. All of a sudden I come around the corner and I hear this noise, and there's Clay wearing his University of Oregon jersey, and he's yodeling away all by himself with this big massive beard. You go over to Mark's house, same thing. You knock on the door, nobody answers. You walk inside, here's this guy looking in the mirror, and he's got on leather boots and leather shorts, no bare chested. He looks like a Viking, hair everywhere, drinking wine out of a leather flagon. And he's talking to himself in the mirror, and he's going, I am Dan Costa. I am Dan Costa. I can be that guy someday. In all seriousness, guys, you are my two best friends. It is such an honor to represent our industry, our county, our families with you guys. And especially right now, it's a little daunting. As you said, Clay, what we started out with is not where we are. I did not think we would be doing a virtual event. It's a pretty crazy world, but to be able to do this with you guys now, because the recipients of the funds that we're going to raise and that we have raised in the past are in need of this more than ever. And so to be able to step up and do this with you guys is a really big honor for me. So I appreciate it. I appreciate it a lot. And I can tell you all that Limerick Lane, my family goes back 4 generations in the wine industry. My wife and I own Limerick Lane. We're a small 30-acre estate in the Russian River appellation, and we focus on rosé, Rhone varieties, and Zinfandel. And I'm very excited to talk more about it later, but I'll hand it back over to Clay.
I'm going to be honest, Jake, I have completely lost all train of thought of what we're supposed to be doing. And all I can think about is that paybacks are a bitch.
Yeah.
I want to go ahead and tease early on that we're doing another one of these live events in 2 weeks. And I hope that everybody comes back. Jake, coincidentally, is not going to be on that live event. I will. And I assure you that with 2 weeks, we'll have some fun with Jake. So please tune in.
Yes, please do. I think that's a good cliffhanger. And I also thought maybe, since I won't be on the next one, that maybe we could start the fundraising early, and maybe people could start bidding, and we could do a live shaving where Mark actually shaves Clay's beard, and Clay, you can shave Mark's back live, and it would be a great thing for everybody. So
hey, if you're going to do that much shaving, we're going to need like a razor sponsor.
Yeah, you're going to need some hedge trimmers, I think, is what you're going to need.
Get us back on track, Clay.
All right. So, look, when life hands you lemons, you make lemonade. And I agree with what you said, Jake. And I think Mark reiterated it that, 9 months ago when we originally started talking about the 3 of us co-hosting this event and what an honor it was to be even considered for it, I don't think any of us there's no way we could have even dreamed that we would be in the position that we are. But you have to look at it as the glass half full. And I think, as we've gotten to dive into the opportunities that are presented to us, I think it's so much more inclusive this year as an auction. And just take the simple fact that last year, a ticket to the auction was $2,500. This year, you can do one of the Celebrate from Home packages for $200, $500, $750, all the way up to $2,500. So it's so much more attainable for everybody out there. From an auction lot perspective, last year, in previous years, we've only had live auction lots that typically sold for an average of about $50,000 a piece. So some really incredible lots. Where this year, I hope we have a bunch of live auction lots that sell for $50,000, but we're going to have exponentially more silent auction lots. So there's going to be an opportunity for so many, not only wineries to get involved, to put together these really special offerings of, library bottles, magnums, private tours and tastings, but also for consumers to get involved. You don't have to buy that $2,500 ticket and then feel obligated to bid on a lot. You can come in at a $200 Celebrate from Home package and get 3 bottles of wine sent to your house to tune into all of the events, and then have the opportunity to buy some of these incredible silent auction items. So I want to spend a second talking about, the special lot that we're putting together. We're calling it the Co-Chairs Celebrate from Home package. And, I'm going to brag on my friends here for a second, that when we started thinking about what we were going to do, the biggest challenge that these two guys had was their wines are so allocated. How do they come up with 5 cases of something that they can allocate, to put into this Celebrate from Home package? And I think it just speaks volumes to the quality of wine that they're making, but also the fact that they weren't looking at their appellation wines to be a part of this package. They're looking at wines that you have to be on the mailing list for years to even think about. They're looking at wines that were the highest scoring Zinfandel from Jeb Dunnick, or the highest tied for the highest scoring Zinfandel ever from the Wine Spectator. And that's what's so incredible about being able to do these Celebrate at Home packages, is even at a $2,500 level, there's going to be some wines that you just can't get anywhere else. And to have a case of wine shipped to your home, to have access to all of the events that we're still going to be doing, and then get some special stuff where private virtual tastings with us, maybe private shavings, who knows. But Jake, why don't you talk? Don't take that the wrong way. Apparently, I just got texted that, Norelco is interested in being a sponsor, so we may have something here. But Jake, why don't you talk a little bit about the wines that you're going to be featuring in the Co-Chairs Celebrate from Home package?
You bet. So if you guys can all, if you come in to purchase, quote unquote, your ticket at the Chop Lot, you're going to get wines from each of us. One of the things I thought most strongly about my wines is not only, I think that they're pretty good quality, but it's really how you consume them. And so what I wanted to do is get a couple glasses of wine to show you guys. First of all, we've got our rosé, and then we've got our 1910 Block Zinfandel here. I find, especially during an auction, when you want to be supporting, you want to be least, you want to be happy, the bigger the glass, the better. I guess if I put this in the right way, you might look at it a little differently there, Mark. Our 2019 rosé right here.
Hey, did you steal those glasses from Grumpy's?
Yes, I did. Good call there, Mr. Clay. The 2019 rosé is a real signature wine that we make, and I don't always drink it out of a glass this big. It's always based on Rhone varieties, Syrah, Grenache, Mourvèdre. We've certainly had our share of accolades. I was fortunate enough a few years ago to go right before harvest to Provence, and I came back from that trip very much committed to making wine and, rosé of a higher caliber. And so what we do with this wine, we grow all of the grapes intentionally for rosé. We pick them at appropriate ripeness levels. This is not a saignée. We are not bleeding juice off during fermentation. And last vintage, with this wine, we actually made 9 different lots of rosé between those 3 varietals. And then we blended them back together to make one wine. And it's really with the intention, any wine can be world-class. Any wine can be great. And our goal here, especially with the ocean of rosé out there that is quite often less than distinct, our goal is to make a highly distinct wine from our estate. I believe we are still the highest still rated still rosé, highest rated still rosé in wine enthusiast history, thanks to Virginie Boone, who I believe is on the call today. We've certainly got a lot of accolades for this wine. The 1910 Block Zinfandel here is really the grand dame of our site. We have 30 acres on the estate, obviously planted in 1910. We still have just over 5 acres of the original plantings available. And so this is specifically the 110-year-old vines. It is a bit of a travesty, although my attempts at humor were to use the Grumpy's glass on this one. This wine is consistently the most sought after and allocated wine that we make. It's a co-ferment. It's a field blend. There is Negrette, Pelersan, Alicante Boucher, Trousseau, Syrah, Petit Syrah, and Viognier interplanted in this block. So it's truly one of a kind, and I am very excited and honored to be able to hopefully share this with everybody who buys in at the level in order to support this great foundation in this way. And I hope you guys enjoy the wines. Mark, you want to talk about yours?
I can tell you, as a guy who makes a rosé, that my wife won't drink ours if Limerick Lane is an option. It really is one of the great rosés out there. So anybody even looking at this lot, the rosé alone is worth buying in for. So
I think he's got about $400 worth of rosé in that glass right there.
That's right. I mean, hey, we're live, guys. I mean, you got to go. You can't be sitting in the back seat. You got to drive the bus.
Yeah, I'll say a couple things about our two wines. So in the Russian River Valley, our focus for Arista is Pinot Noir and Chardonnay. We are a relatively small producer. We make 5 Chardonnays and 6 or 7 Pinot Noirs a year. All of them are in relatively small amounts. The Chardonnay that is in the Celebrated Home package comes from one of California's, maybe California's most famous Chardonnay vineyard. It's a vineyard called the Richie Vineyard, which is just a few miles south and east of my family's property, which is where I am today. The vineyard was planted in the mid-70s. There are many, many great California producers that have made or currently make a Richie Vineyard Chardonnay. It's a real feather in our hat, an honor to be in that vineyard. We make generally about 10 to 12 barrels a year of this particular wine. It is highly allocated. It does get a lot of great press. If people are listening, watching, or interested in that, it's one of the consistently highest rated Chardonnays in the state of California. And it's made in just a very traditional classic style. It's one of my favorite wines that we make, and it's why if I got to choose 2 wines, it was the Chardonnay that I wanted to put in the lot. The Pinot Noir that we have comes from a little vineyard called Mononi. And when I say a little vineyard, it's about 3 acres. It's a very, very small vineyard on River Road and Olivet Lane, kind of the eastern edge of the Russian River Valley. We've worked with Paul Mononi. Actually, it was the very first grape contract that my family ever signed, 2002. Paul and Amy Mononi are the growers. We buy all of the fruit. It makes one of our most sought after Pinot Noirs. It was on the cover of the Wine Spectator a couple years ago as one of the top wines in California that year. So it's consistently one of the most sought after Pinot Noirs that we make. And it's, I think, will be a great addition to this lot.
I guess I'm up. The wines that we're going to be featuring in this lot, the first one I'm going to talk about is our Rockpile Ridge Vineyard Zinfandel. I think one of the things that's most unique, special about this wine for me is that this comes from what's left of my family's original homestead. We have been farming this piece of property contiguously for 152 years. And, generations ago, we had no idea of the potential that Rockpile held as a world-class grape growing region. And the sad part of our family history is we lost the vast majority of our property to eminent domain so the Army Corps of Engineers could build Lake Sonoma. But the silver lining in that was that the lake is really what created this very unique grape growing region. And when I'm not drinking Zinfandels from Rockpile, I tend to drink Zinfandels from Russian River Valley, like Jake's and Limerick Lane. And what I like about those 2 areas is that a lot of people assume Rockpile is a very hot area, and it's not. It's actually very arid. It's dry, but it's surrounded, by billions and billions of gallons of water in the former Lake Sonoma. So it has an extremely moderate climate. And where I'm going to with this is that you're able to make Zinfandel. It has as much structure and balance as any great wine in the world, but still really retains the fruit and spice that people love about Zin without being overripe. That unique climate up there, the hillside environment, just allows us to get great uniformity of ripening, to pick at relatively lower Brix levels so that you still have acid in this beautiful, fresh, fruit-forward wine. And then the second wine that we're going to be featuring is our Loam Cabernet. And this is part of our, what we refer to as single soil series. So, my family's grape growers. We've been farming for 7 generations now, and for the first 5.5 generations, growing grapes is what put food on the table. And so you didn't necessarily think a lot about, rootstocks and clonal selections and soil types. You thought, what's going to put food on my family's table? So when we planted a lot of our vineyards, we didn't pay attention to those nuances. And so when I started the winery 22 years ago, one of the first things I did was really start to analyze my family's vineyards and analyze the soil types. And what blew my mind was that we were growing Cabernet in 23 different types of loam soil. And you start to find out really quickly that not all soil is created equally. But we have, 4 and 5 acre blocks of Cabernet where there would be 3 different types of soil in it. So instead of looking at it as a 4 acre block of Cabernet, we looked at it as 3 different soil types, therefore 3 unique blocks. And it forever changed the course of our winemaking because now we look at all of our wines that way. But we also wanted to capture what we discovered in the bottle. And so we isolated what we thought were the 3 absolute premier soils to grow Cabernet in Sonoma County. And we wanted to treat them all the same, to eliminate all the human variables and really focus on that soil variable. So we use the same rootstock, the same clonal selection, the same environmental practices, same pruning, same barrel regime, same winemaking. The only variable is the soil in which these wines are grown. And at the risk of sounding arrogant, if a single vineyard wine is the best vineyards in an appellation, we're isolating the best soil stratas within those vineyards. So we like to say that this is the best of what my family grows. And unfortunately, the only downside is that we make extremely small quantities of it. So our loam Cabernet, we made about 150 cases of, and we're hoping that everyone out there is going to buy up all 50 of the co-chairs, Celebrate from Home packages, and that we would donate, about 4% of our production, to this. So these truly are really, really unique opportunities to not only be a part of something very special, the Sonoma County Vintners Wine Auction, and support Sonoma County, but also to drink great wines and be a part of all of the action going on. I know that I looked at some of the other incredible lots that are available, for Celebrate from Home. Everyone wants to celebrate, so Joy Sterling over at Iron Horse has agreed to donate not just a wine, but a magnum of one of their premier cuvées called the Joy. So that can be an add-on to any lot. And don't mistake me, you can buy a platinum lot, you can buy a gold lot, you can buy 3 of each. But to be able to pick and choose and say that I want to do the platinum lot from the East Side Neighbors, and I'll let Mark or Jake talk about that as Russian River Boys, and then add on a special sparkling lot from Iron Horse, and then of course do the co-chairs lot. It really is an unbelievable opportunity to be involved in the Sonoma County Vintners Foundation this year.
Clay, I'm looking at some of the questions in the chats here, and Megan is asking when we can start to buy these packages. Do we have a date on that yet? I'm embarrassed to say that I can't answer that question right off the top.
What I can tell you is that we're still trying to, finalize all of the packages. I believe we have about 20 packages available now, and our goal was to have a couple more than that. And so I feel confident saying that by the end of next week, the packages will be live. That would give us just about a month to get them shipped, get them sent out to all of the, people that are buying the packages. Because ideally, I think we all agree on this, that if we're going to ship wine for you to enjoy, over the course of the 3 days of events, we want that wine to arrive at your house a couple days early, to not get there the day of. So that gives the wine a little time to settle down. So these should be live, sometime end of next week would be my guess.
And I would, it's just a good opportunity to point out too, that the place that everyone should be going to, checking out as updates are coming in, is SonomaCountyWineAuction.com, which is the website for the event. And as information posts, it's constantly being updated. It's a great place to go and check. One of the stay-at-home Celebrate at Home packages I wanted to talk about, I think it is maybe emblematic of Sonoma County and what makes our region so unique. Big producers, small producers, famous producers, new producers, all coming together, coming out, putting together lots, wines, but participating, being involved. Some of my neighbors, I'm in the Russian River Valley, so that's really kind of where my world revolves around. You've got brands like Williams Sonoma and Rocchioli, 2 of the most iconic producers in California. Years and years and years to get on a list to be able to buy these wines. They're impossible to have, yet they come together as a twosome, along with a third brand, which is a new producer, but not a guy that's a stranger to wine, Thompson 3150. All three of these brands are on West Side Road. So here's an instant opportunity to get Rocchioli, Williams Sellium, and Thompson 3150 in a celebrated home package. You might have to wait for years to get that wine. You can buy 2 or 3 of them right now and immediately begin celebrating.
Jake, did you have a favorite Celebrate from Home package you wanted to highlight?
I was wondering who was talking next. I thought we ought to bring up the Bricoleur package as well. Do you have the nuances on that one, Clay? The particulars?
I don't have the particulars in front of me, but I can tell you that Mark from Bricoleur has been such an incredible supporter of the Sonoma County Vintners Foundation. And not only has he put together, I believe it's a platinum package, but he has one of the most exciting live auction lots. And we'll get to that a little bit later. But they are making some just absolutely incredible wines. They have one of the most beautiful estates in all of wine country. And their package is going to be, their auction package is going to be an opportunity to celebrate with them, at their estate. And you get a chance.
Well, yeah, and it's if I'm not mistaken, it's a cooking class with their executive chef Shane, who is a very famous chef who's now on staff with them, and so it's an opportunity to go hang out at one of the most stunning properties, drinking exceptional wines, and having a world-class chef cooking for you.
I'm a little bit embarrassed because with all of my notes about making fun of you guys, I'm looking behind the computer screen here because I had all the particulars on Bricoleur written down and I can't find it now. I got a lot of papers around here. It took me a long time to make all my jokes, but I'm working on finding
When I saw you grab a piece of paper, like you had actually made a note, I knew something was wrong, man.
But then we saw
like you study up ahead of time.
But then we saw stick figures, and we saw stick figures, and it made a lot of sense.
Exactly.
I mean those ones right there, Mark. That's you.
Thank you.
Or the dressed up bottle. I mean, that was just quintessential Bill Bro.
Just bringing it back for you.
There you go.
Hey, if I can, one more lot too that I've been part of. I'm participating in. It was by no means my idea, but I really think it's a cool lot for people that might be interested in more of a wine lot. So we have some destination lots. One of the most popular lots last year, we called them GOAT lots, greatest of all time. And we focused on a few different appellations inside of Sonoma County. This year, a similar lot that Stuart from Pride had this idea, going around to some of the famous, exceptional mountain sites, mountain vineyards throughout the Appalachians, and putting together kind of a best of, a who's who of these beautiful mountain sites. So generally, mountain sites tend to make very profound, powerful wines. Some of the great estates are up high on these slopes. Not only is it 750s, but I know that it's magnums, 3 liters, 5 liters, from a number of producers that he's pulled together. And you often associate some of the mountain fruits with Cabernet. So there's definitely going to be a lot of the Bordeaux varietals. But I know that there are a few Pinot producers, us included with a few others, that have coastal sites that are actually high elevation sites. I know
Wait, you Pinot producers like powerful wines?
Elegant wines,
Okay.
Clay. Elegant wines grown at elevation. But the point being, there's going to be multiple varieties, multiple regions, really amazing wines in that lot. I know it will be one of the big lots given the success that we had with GOAT last year. So something for me. They're not all travel lots. There's some really epic wine lots as well.
I think one of the lots that jumped out to me that's going to be in the live auction was the Montage Hillsburg lot. While it's not open yet, I don't know if you guys have been out there, but I've been out there on a tour. I mean, it is literally one of the most beautiful, well-designed hotel properties that I have ever seen. And the way that we set the hotel up with these pods of rooms. So there's no more than 4 rooms in a grouping, and they're isolated. So you literally feel like you are in the middle of the vineyards in Sonoma County, and it's in these rolling hills. But they have donated their presidential suite, which is about 3 times bigger than my house. I think it's got 3 bedrooms and living rooms. I mean, it is just absolutely stunning, certainly fitting of the term presidential, and it's going to be for 3 couples. But also, there's going to be a lot of different extracurriculars. All of us are going to be involved in that lot with, special tours and tastings. I know we've dug into the library to pull out some magnums for the winning bidders. Jesse Katz from Aperture is going to be involved in that lot. Certainly one of the, hot new brands in Sonoma County. They just opened up their facility, a beautiful facility that they have. So, I mean, that is, if you're looking for the perfect socially distant vacation to come and have the presidential suite, which is completely isolated to be in wine country, literally there could not be a better lot to bid on. And I mean, it is a once in a lifetime opportunity to get to stay in the presidential suite, at least when you have a beard like this, it is.
Well, apparently you're not going to have a beard like that much longer, Clay, because I saw a text from our wives who are going along, and they're very much in on bidding on shaving both of you guys. I think we've got something going here. I think Mike Haney might be in on this too. So we're making some progress here. We're making money already. This is going all in the right direction. I'm really happy about this. One of the lots I'm pretty excited about, actually I'm excited about a couple, but one of them, I don't know if you guys can really see in the background because of the glare. I'm actually in our second home right now up in Sun Valley, Idaho, where we kind of split time. But we are going to be putting a lot out there where people can come out and really enjoy the very best that Sun Valley has to offer and be my guests for the long weekend. I have done this before, and it is an incredibly fun time. Clay, you've come up and visited. Mark, you haven't made it yet. Speaking of my glasses there earlier, we go to the local dive bar, which is an institution in town, Grumpy's. You get these huge schooners of beer. We're going to have amazing dinners. We get early access onto the lifts. We get to go skiing, skiing included, staying at the Sun Valley Lodge, which is this incredible resort here. One of my favorite reasons that I live here and things about here is there's nobody here. So again, speaking of socially distancing and staying safe in times like this, I believe the number is 10 to 1, the number of skiers who are hitting the 3 resorts around Salt Lake City versus that are hitting Sun Valley, Idaho. This is a quiet, reserved place. There was once an article said that this is, America's last special ski valley. And it's just a really, really wonderful place. We'll take the gondola up and we'll have lunch at the Roundhouse, which is a 100-year-old little hut up on the hill with a fireplace and the most extraordinary wine list you can imagine, amazing food. It's really a good time. And I actually got a text earlier this morning that our buddy Richie, Rich Aurelia from Red Stitch, he wanted to jump in on the lot. He wanted to be a part of it. And he said he was going to come out and bring his Chardonnays and his Cabernets and his Pinot Noirs with him. So I thought that was pretty exciting. And we've got a couple of different wineries who will share some wine, share some experiences, and maybe we'll get a baseball story or two out of it.
I know we talked about this a little bit earlier, but I think one of the really unique opportunities with having a virtual event like this and being forced to do everything online is that we have the opportunity now to include some lots that maybe aren't going to sell for tens of thousands of dollars, that are going to be more attainable for the everyday consumer out there that just wants to support a great cause. And when you think about wineries like Acorn is a historic winery in Sonoma County. What Bill and Betsy have done there with their unbelievable field blending and the hundreds of varietals, I don't know, but an insane amount of varietals that they have planted on their property. And there are few people that are more passionate about grape growing and making great wine than they are. And I don't know that they've been involved in the wine auction in its previous iterations, but this year, with the ability to do a silent auction lot, they are involved, and they're putting together 3 magnums, and they bottle like so few magnums. I mean, I honestly didn't even know that they made magnums, which is pretty cool. So the chance to get 3 magnums and all of their historic field blends from their block that was planted in somewhere in the late 1800s, and then they have what they call their medley, that is a blend of a whole bunch of different muscat varietals and every single varietal grown on the property, and to their Syrah block, which is a more traditional Northern Rhone that they have Viognier field blended in. it's just so incredible that we're able to get all of our winery partners, winery members involved. And from a consumer standpoint, you are going to have the opportunity to bid on some wines that you, A, wouldn't normally have access to, but B, you're not going to have to spend $5,000 or $10,000 to be a winner. You know, and hey, everybody likes to win. Everybody wants to win an auction lot.
You know, if I could throw in another plug on that one, Clay, in 2011, when my wife Alexis and I bought Limerick Lane, that was a pretty humbling time. We were in over our heads thinking we could pull something off, and it was tough. We didn't have a lot of employees, and we were trying to turn around a winery. And I would say that, I think it's actually really a testament to Sonoma County. You know, Mark, I was teasing you earlier about Dan Costa, but there was about a week after buying it, the winery, I get a call, and it's Dan Costa saying, when I was the sommelier back at John Ash, that was my favorite wine before it Costa Brown ever even existed, and you better not screw this up. And the amount of people who are supporting us and calling us and whatnot. But one of the reasons that we are here today, I would say, and it's always Betsy and Bill, it's not Bill and Betsy. She's small, but she's mighty, just like my wife. We would have recommendations daily, referrals from people who would go to Acorn, and they're just right around the corner from us, and they would send them up the road to us. And we are, you know, I can speak for my wife, just eternally grateful. But that is the quintessential salt of the earth example of a Sonoma County winery is Acorn Winery. And for them to be included in this and to be able to buy that as well in this scenario is, that is what makes Sonoma County special. That's why everybody's included and everybody's given in on what they're doing. I think it's great.
Before we wrap this thing up, I wanted to make sure that everyone was, you know, aware of, you know, some of the different things that are going to happen this year for the auction. I think without a doubt, I don't think one of the most popular events in our traditional Sonoma County wine auction was the best party ever. We've had some amazing venues, and I think the three of us had some pretty pie in the sky ideas about what we wanted to do, and that'll be saved for a later date because I would still love to see the vintners recreate some of those crazy ideas that we had. But we're still going to hold a best party ever this year, and it'll only be for people that are buy and celebrate from home packages, and you're going to be able to, you know, get involved in, you know, hanging out with us, drinking wine. And let's be honest, who doesn't want to do that? And maybe there's a chance that maybe the auction for, you know, a shaving will happen at that time. But that will be the time when, you know, some of the lots, you know, start to close. The lots, that'll be, I'm trying to go off script here. And I should
even drinking something other than water.
I'm telling you, man, Pellegrino needs to be a sponsor. You can't see that there's bourbon in there, can you?
Yeah.
That's why I picked the green glass. But best party ever is September 17th. The main event will be on September 19th, which is the date of the auction. That's when all of the bidding will close. But, you know, you don't need to buy a lot to be a part of this. You don't need to even do the Celebrate from Home package. Don't forget that you can log on and make a donation at any time. We had a executive board meeting this morning for the Sonoma County Vintners, and if I didn't mention that earlier, I'm the president of the foundation, so it is such a humbling honor to be a part of that. And we are going over the finances for this year, and the Sonoma County Vintners Foundation has put $3.7 million back into our community this year to 82 different nonprofits. I mean, how freaking amazing is that we're able to change the lives for people in our community? And we think about what's going on in the world today with COVID and how it really has brought to light the inequities in our society. You know, when you think about, you know, access to technology, you know, not every kid has a computer. Not every family has access to the internet or Wi-Fi. And that is going to be our premise that we are going to bat for this year as our three co-chairs, is we're raising money for education with a focus on bridging the technology gap in Sonoma County, making sure that every single child in Sonoma County has access to the technology that they need for distant learning. They have access to internet so that they can do distant learning. But beyond that, there isn't this bridge in equity for the haves and have-nots when we come to talk about education. Everybody has the right to have a world-class education, and that is what our focus is to make sure that every single person in Sonoma County. So please, if you can't be a part of one of the events, if you can't do the Celebrate from Home package, we're taking the Bernie Sanders approach to fundraising. $5 at a time, $10 at a time, $100, whatever you can do, whatever you can give, we will take it gladly. And you have my promise that it will go to work in our community to do amazing things and change people's lives.
Yep.
I would also ask, we've got a couple more of these kind of build-ups to it. We've got the best party ever, and obviously the auction. Everybody out there watching, stick with us. We have been really creative. We've come up with a lot of ideas. We've got more fun things in store. We've got some more surprises with these events. If we can't be there in person and bring the party to you all, we're going to bring it remotely in every way that we can. And it's your involvement, and you're taking an hour with us, having a glass of wine with us, which is how we're going to get this done. And we very much appreciate that, and are going to keep you entertained accordingly, so to speak. So,
hey, also worth adding that on August, it's Thursday, August 27th, I believe, 2 weeks from today, we will be doing another live event covering more information as things develop and as we begin to roll out. I want to reiterate, please go to the Sonoma County Wine Auction, SonomaCountyWineAuction.com website to follow up on Clay's point. I know that you are already able to donate directly on that site now. So on Thursday, August 27th, same time, 4:30 Pacific, we'll be on. I promise we'll be roasting Jake this time. I've got pictures and 2 weeks to think. And then the final one that we're doing, really, really cool opportunity. Clay and Charlie Palmer, Chef Charlie Palmer, who is one of the honorees of the event this year, are going to be on. And anytime that Charlie and Clay are together, great things tend to happen. At least the food's great. The wine, but the food is great. It's worth tuning in for to kind of hear what they have to say. So that's 4:30 on Thursday, August 27th, and 4:30 on Thursday, September the 10th. Same place.
And you just reminded me that we failed to mention our
honoree
here. Yeah, so every year the Sonoma Wine Auction honors a chef and honors a local vintner that have done amazing things for our community and give back to our community. And as Mark mentioned, Charlie Palmer is our chef honoree this year. And I think no one would argue with me that we can point to the change forever in the outside world's impression of Sonoma County as a culinary destination to the day the Dry Creek Kitchen opened. When Charlie Palmer staked his flag in Sonoma County, it changed the world's impression of who we were, not only as a wine region, but as a world-class food destination. And our vintner honoree this year
is not, well, and let me say, he has not stopped giving, pushing, promoting, lending his talent to Sonoma County to raise awareness and just use his talent to give back to this community. He's not a guy who just kind of came. He lives here. He and Lisa, this is their home. And what they've done for our county, it's difficult to put into words.
And the guy is as honest and loyal as it gets. And he's a guy who, still, even though the Giants are absolutely terrible, he still wears his Giants jersey around. He bet my son last year that Eli Manning was going to have a better season than Tom Brady. And
just to be clear, that's the New York Football Giants we're talking about.
New York Football Giants. New York Football Giants. Yeah, I'm not talking about San Francisco Giants. And the bet was for 5 dozen oysters, which is just hilarious. So that's the kind of guy Charlie is. But our vintner honoree this year is none other than Daryl Groom. Daryl may be an Aussie, but there are few people who have done more for Sonoma County winemaking and putting Sonoma on a map than Daryl Groom. And I would venture to say that there is nobody who has done more philanthropically from a wine perspective. Daryl is one of the most giving people I know, one of the most genuine, loving, caring. He has a very personal cause to he and his family. His son Colby has had a heart defect, and they have raised well over $1 million for heart research, American Heart Association, I believe. But he has been involved with Pigs and Pinot from day one, helping raise money for local charities. He has been supportive of our nonprofit, Project Zin, that raises money for Down syndrome. And this is a guy that just never says no. I don't know when he sleeps, because he is like the Energizer Bunny, and he just is so incredible in how he gets back to our community. And I couldn't be more honored to be a part of the actual auction that celebrates him.
Yeah, I think you're right, Clay. And I think the way to sum up both of those men is that if you ever ask, Charlie and Daryl will never say no. If there's ever a cause, if there's ever a giving of time, giving of wine, giving of food, giving of dollars, giving of anything else, those two men for Sonoma County do not say no. And I am thrilled that we are able to honor them this year in the way that we are. I just don't know that there's anybody more deserving.
I just got a notification that the Donate Now option is already available on the Sonoma County wine auction website. And I have also received in messages a couple requests for a possibility of auctioning off Jake's Harry bottle.
Yeah, we could do that.
What do we got there, Jake?
So this is actually an interesting bottle. I chose this at random. I chose an Arista bottle over the Moritzen, and I have to say it because my joke really did start with Mark's Harry back, and I really saw the Arista bottle with the back label. But this is a pretty nice bottle of wine to be auctioning off. This is the 2017 Joseph Swan Vineyard Pinot Noir. Mark, you might want to talk about that a little bit. I only have one of these, so if we auction off, I might need you to replace one for me here. I mean, this is all for the common good, but this is my personal.
Absolutely.
Stash.
So I don't want to. I realize we're approaching the stop, but I will say that's an interactive. I mean, this is unscripted. Oh yeah, unscripted. I can't believe that you chose that bottle. That is as unicorns go for us. That's about as rare a bottle as we make. So we make 3 barrels a year of that wine. Rod Berglund, who is the owner and winemaker at Joseph Swan, dear friend of mine. I love his site. For years and years and years, I begged and pleaded that we be able to buy some fruit from him, and it never worked out. Well, one night after a few bottles of wine, I was able to convince him to finally swap some fruit from my estate and his estate. So I would give him 3 tons of my Pinot Noir off of my property, and that he would give me 3 tons off of the Joseph Swan estate, which from what I understand from Rod is the first time since 1968 that fruit has left the property. We're the only winery that's ever had the chance to make that wine. And it's a true honor, sincerely I had no clue that you were pulling that bottle of wine out there. So that really is a rare bottle of wine. It's a beautiful bottle of wine. I would get the hair off of it and just enjoy what's on the inside. But if we want to auction off, that's a beauty right there.
I'm looking and seeing that we've got a $400 opening bid on the bottle of wine right now. I'd also like to see if anybody's interested in maybe we can double down that if there's this shaving scenario between you guys, maybe the bottle of wine goes with it, and maybe we just keep this thing running.
It's going to take a hell of a lot more than $400 to shave. So I'm having an opening bid of at least 1,000, minimum bid of 1,000.
I agree with that. I agree with that.
I was thinking about it, Mark, and based on Alexis's reaction over there, who started snickering in the corner, maybe we need to auction off a picture of you buck naked on a bearskin rug where all we see is your ankles and your wrists. Maybe that's a good thing.
I'm sorry. I think it says 5:30. I think it's ending now. Is that what I'm hearing?
This is for the kids, Mark. I mean, this is a good cause. We got to do this.
I think we should up the ante, and I think the more appropriate way to take care of back hair, I wouldn't know if I don't have any, isn't it supposed to be waxed? I mean, shouldn't we just have
Now we are there.
Okay.
I will get yes. And then maybe we need to wax a smiley face into Mark's back.
Oh my God. All right. Yeah.
All right, boys. I think our time is about up. Last I heard that someone said $1,000 each, but we're gonna have to revisit this. The idea of waxing and a beard shaving.
I think Mark Malpidi just pointed out that maybe Limerick Man should wax Mark's back. And if Limerick Man shows up to actually do the waxing, we might have to up the ante a little bit more, but it's a possibility.
Yeah, that might not be G-rated, so. Hey, guys, I just want to say one more time what an unbelievable honor it is to get to do this with you two, my best friends in the world. You're like my co-parents to my children. This is part of our village, and I know what makes this so special is how deeply the both of you care about Sonoma County, and it's why you're doing this, so that we can raise money to help everybody in our community live a better life. And there's no one in the world that I would rather get in that foxhole with than you guys. And I know that, you know, no matter what the numbers say, this is going to be a huge success. Yeah. I'm just really honored to do it with you guys and to help make Sonoma County a better place for everybody.
Yep. Excellent. Excellent. Please, everyone, go to SonomaCountyWineAuction.com for information about this year's event.
Or to donate.
All right. Cheers. See y'all.
Thanks, guys.